Hello, everybody. Welcome to the weekly bump. Thank you guys so much for being here. So this week we have three piles. We have pile 1, which we're going to use an amethyst. Pile 2, we're going to use the hematite. And pile 3, we're going to be using the fluorite this week. So again, I know that not everybody feels super intuitive or connected to one of these piles. So I always say just go ahead and randomly select one, and it will probably have something relevant for you for the week. However, if you do feel intuitively drawn, please select that pile. Now, the timestamps will be in the description box and the comment thread down below for easy access. All right, see you in just a sec. Alrighty, pile number 1. Let's go ahead and get started. You guys selected the amethyst. And we start off with the spider spirit. Make your dreams real. A lot of people are doing a lot of things, making a lot of choices. You know, the thing about being in Gemini season, as well as Pisces, Virgo, and Sagittarius seasons, right? These are the mutable energies. These are the years, or these are the months where we transition. And this is really where we evolve the most rapidly from one area of life to another. And then when we hit that next season, right, Cancer season, cardinal, we actually have the opportunity to hit the ground running with the next 3-month cycle. The thing with this that I see a lot of people doing, I'm getting the word magic in my mind, like something, it's about magic. And one thing with magic is you have to not only know what you want, but you have to also let yourself have it as well. Right? Because when a little bug comes and flies into the spider's web, the spider doesn't be like, oh no, I don't want that, I can't have that, even though it spun the web to catch it. It doesn't turn it away, you know? And I feel like right now is really a lesson in allowing the things to be caught in your web, because your web is like your whole vibe. It's the environment that you've created. And when it's catching things, when it's catching the things that you're hoping to catch, right, you have to indulge in that and have that sense of gratefulness and appreciation for that. Okay, now let's see what the tarot has to say. We have the Hierophant, 6 of Coins, Queen of Wands, 3 of Wands, Chariot, and the Ace of Cups. Okay. Well, the Hierophant, I always say, he's kind of our inner Buddha, our inner guru. I've lately been calling him the guardian. And he's kind of that energy that really keeps us on that straight and narrow. And when it comes to your dreams becoming a reality, it's so important to remain on that straight and narrow and really do the things that call you. Right? And sometimes we view those things that call us as distractions, because on one hand, we're like, yeah, but I want to, do really a lot better at my job, and I want to earn more money, and I want to attain this financial goal so I can do X, Y, and Z. But then what you really want to do is spend time experimenting with recipes, or you want to spend your time, playing video games, or you want to spend your time, doing something completely that might be seen as a little bit non-productive for these sets of goals. And yet the calling, maybe video games is not a good example. I was thinking of someone who likes to design video games, for a designer, right, kind of thing. But the doing of the passion, whether it is the cooking or the dancing or the reading of educational kinds of books, or learning a new skill or a new language or whatever it is, that thing that's calling you, I think it's so important to, one, not feel any guilt or shame for that. Because what I'm sensing with the Chariot is that there's actually going to be a purpose for that later on. So you're sitting and you're cooking something, you're learning a new language, you're out in the garden, whatever it is, and it's going to come into play. And for those of you who are considering career changes, for those of you who are considering location changes, partnership changes, this is not a time to be using your brain that much. It's not a time to be following the sort of program of culture, the program of society, and, the program of your country that tells you you're supposed to do certain things and you're supposed to have a certain amount of money and you have to do it like this. This month, this year really is about freedom and breaking free from those things. And I think that this sort of the thing that is calling you, the thing that you would prefer to spend your time doing, is kind of a sign. And the more you spend time doing the thing that calls, or being in that state of mind that calls you, I feel like the more generous the universe is going to be with you. It's really important that right now we're super honest with ourselves about what we would prefer to be doing, how we would prefer our life to be. Now, some people are really content with their lives and everything is great and they don't really want to change anything. And that's great, and I think that this dreams becoming real is just maybe even just higher states of consciousness. And that's great. So maybe meditation is your gig, right? And that's where the time is needing to be spent. Queen of Wands is really ready to make anything happen. Now, one thing to kind of note here is that I don't think that this is really the month or the week to be expecting the whole outcome. I don't even think this is the year to be expecting the whole outcome. That's not what 2021 is about. It's not about getting. All right, this is about creating space. To create the space for that which you hope to incorporate into your life. So if you're needing to or wanting to buy a new home, right? I had a lot of private readings of people considering that lately and getting a new job. Now is the time to start researching and connecting dots and figuring things out and passing out the resumes, right? There's an action element here with the Queen of Wands. So like passing out the resumes, going and looking at homes or, whatever the thing is, actually doing the things to open up the doors so that the right thing can come into your life. And likely the journey that you're on, it's never really about the having of the thing anyway, just like nothing ever is. This is about the joy and the process of doing it. It's about the elegance of the journey and the fulfillment that you are sure to have just exploring, just adventuring, just learning. It's fun. And I think something is likely going to spark a passion, as Gemini season often does. It often sparks our creativity, it sparks our passion, it sparks our curiosity. And when something catches, and we like, oh, wow, that's cool. I want to learn more about that. I want to spend more time doing that. I want to be in that place. I want to be, this is really cool. This is really like satisfying me right now. The more I learn, the more I get excited about stuff. That's what the Ace of Cups is really about. Fulfillment of wishes. See, the fulfillment is the inevitability, which is why it's so important that you allow yourself to indulge in this curiosity, to indulge in this distraction, if you will. It's not really a distraction. It's just Gemini season, okay? You got to give yourself grace during these mutable seasons. Focus and perseverance is for cardinal and fixed energies, all right? But when we're in mutable times, you got to expand your horizons a little bit. This is an excellent, excellent time to expand. And the third, see, exactly. So you're being divinely guided. Not only did you select the Amethyst, which is, of course, the crown chakra, and then we have this beautiful deep indigo here for the third eye, we also have that Hierophant. where he's all these working together with divine guidance, all of these working together, right? It's not even really your intuition. It's just kind of like your higher knowing, like when you know that this is what you should be doing right now because of how great it feels, and not in a guilty pleasure type of way, or in a, like in any kind of way other than the good kind. It feeds the passion. It makes you feel alive when you're learning about it, when you're doing it, when you're exploring it, when you're opening up your options. Because all the changes that are going to be made this year from this divinely inspired place, it's foundational. It's all foundational. It's building. And you don't necessarily perceive that as building, because I think we've had so many endings lately, especially with 2020, with the Jupiter-Pluto stuff, and it just got really harsh and all of this. But where we are right now, it's going to be so crucial for the next 3 and 4 and 5 years. The changes that we make now, so crucial. See, a win-win outcome is forecast. There's no doubt in my mind that dedicating time to this thing is going to be great. You're going to win. The world is going to win. Your family's going to win. It's like win, 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 win. It's a multifaceted win. Okay? This is all about balance, and we have balance with the 6 of Coins here as well. By doing that thing, you are keeping the scales of the universe in balance, in spite of what your mind is telling you. See, the energy is gaining momentum. This is not short-term stuff, guys. Like, it's leading somewhere. You're taking in an interest about this thing for a reason. It will be useful to you someday, maybe not right away, but someday. And you're going to be glad you learned it. You're going to be glad you spent time, exploring this or expanding your consciousness in some way. It's going to be building and building and building and building. I know I haven't even mentioned the eclipse this week. Like, I know we have an eclipse, and I know we have Mars entering into Leo this week. And for some reason, I feel like I know it's a new moon, right? It's a new moon solar eclipse. So, it is kind of a beginning, but it's a beginning of a longer term situation, longer term story. Security. I like that, especially when the Hierophant comes out as well. It's like double security in terms of how you are safe. You're not losing out on anything here. You are safe. You are secure. DNA, karma. See, one of the reasons, it always all comes back to like healing, right? The healing of humanity, the awakening of humanity. And we have our own individual stories, but as an individual, the more and more aligned we become, the more and more aligned humanity becomes as a whole. And as you are doing pretty substantial work on your own ancestral lineage, you are essentially like breaking the imprisonment of your ancestors. You are breaking free from that which bound them. By following your heart, by following your higher self, by listening to your intuition, by healing both emotionally, threefold, emotionally, psychologically, and spiritually, physically, fourfold, all four, as you go through the healing process, you are cutting karmic entanglements. And there's a repairing of the soul. There's a repairing of the sort of metaphysical genetic code, if you will. Maybe even the physical genetic code as well. Between worlds. That's what 21 is all about. Being in between worlds. We had the destruction of the old, and then we have the rebuilding of the new. And this is the year where we are just kind of, again, like I say, you're just creating space right now. That's it. If you can think of everything right now as that's all it is, creating space, then you'll feel a lot less pressure. And if you can't make up your mind about something, or if you don't really know exactly how to go about doing something, that's totally fine. All you have to do is just create the space. And you do that through how you spend your time. You do that through prioritization. You do that through meditation. You do that through education, exploration, adventure, trying new things, all those kinds of things, right? Because it's about getting your head in the right place, about getting your energy in the right place, so that when the thing wants to fly into your web, you are actually prepared to catch it and enjoy it. Oh, another card of balance. Okay, we got the Six of Coins. We have this one, which is a full moon in Libra card. And then we have this. I bring a state of perfect harmony into my world, and I do so without judgment. And that's a really, really great kind of mantra, I think, for the week, is bringing a state of perfect harmony into my world and allowing harmony in your world. And that does not have room for feelings of guilt or shame, or, well, I should be doing that, or I should be doing this. No shoulding yourself, and just simply letting yourself follow the joy. Okay? All right, pile number 1. Thank you guys so much. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye. Okay, pile number 2. You guys selected the Hematite, which actually, fun little story, was the very, very first crystal I ever bought, ever in my whole life, was a Hematite. Not that you guys care, but just FYI. Okay, so the very first card that comes out is the Canary Spirit. Sing your own song. You know, this eclipse season, right? We got the eclipse coming up on the 10th. Mars moves into Leo on the 11th. It really is a time to be your most unique, authentic self. And I think if many of you were being truthful with yourself, it means getting rid of a lot of noise that you have in your life so that you can even hear your own song. And I have a feeling there's going to be a pulling away for you guys, right? Pulling away from significant groups in your life, pulling away from social activity, and just sort of indulging in your creative essence. And that's going to be in every way. I mean, of course, yes, you'll still like do your work and clean your house and take care of your family, and like you'll still do all the things that you're supposed to do. But there's going to be an adjustment to that priority list. And your own creativity is going to be super important because it's really going to channel your authentic voice, and it's going to provide an opportunity for you to really heal the things that have been lingering and, you know, are still kind of present in your energy field. But I also see you stepping away from caring what people think. And when we stop caring what people think, people have less power over us. And when people have less power over us, we tend to create a little disruption. But yet, the thing I love about this card is how the canary actually has like a crown on their head. It's so perfect for Mars and Leo. You know, it's like really stepping into that kind of royal place, that majestic place in your life, taking a lot of ownership. All right, let's see. We have the Empress, we have the Nine of Wands. Yeah, see, that's weird. Okay, we got the Five of Wands, the Moon, and the Page of Coins. I say that's weird with the Five of Wands because I was getting that impression that it is going to cause disruption, right? And there's the card of like kind of arguing or fighting or heightened emotions, you know, people not really being super on board with what you're doing. I think there's a lot of projection that happens with the Five of Wands. And that can be frustrating, especially if you don't know what's going on. But if you are more aware, that can be even more annoying, because it's like, stop projecting, right? Stop trying to push your idea of who you think I am onto me. The thing with this card, and plus we also have the Empress here as well, she doesn't really have this identity. She just is so dedicated to following her spiritual joy, I guess we could say. And that takes on so many different shapes and forms at different times. And she's perfectly capable of, she's very connected with the earth. And when I think of the earth, I often think of the seasons of the earth. And she's so connected with how things change. And she doesn't resist change. And she doesn't apologize for when she changes. And if she wakes up tomorrow and has a different need, she's not going to apologize for that. And she's not also going to expect everyone to understand or everyone to accommodate. And that's okay. And again, people don't like that. They don't like that self-assurance. They don't like that they can't grab onto you, or they can't really fit you into a box, because yesterday you were one thing and then today you're another thing. And tomorrow you might be even another thing. And because it is Gemini season, we are a little bit flippy-floppy this month. I'm not going to lie, right? We definitely have a flippy-floppy nature. And I think at all costs, we have this Nine of Wands. I often see an energy of protection, that it's going to be very important to protect your field. Now, I don't necessarily mean you have to cast a spell or do a whole ceremony to protect yourself or whatever, but it's just more of the awareness of when someone is shooting daggers through their eyes, or when there's sort of some passive aggressive stuff going on, or when there's clearly a projection of someone else's own pain cast towards you, right? The awareness of that, and to exit from that as quickly as possible, and to not let that sort of penetrate how you feel about yourself. Now, the Hanged Man is a suggestion that you're kind of caught in some sort of an energetic current right now, and you really don't have a lot of control over a lot of things. Of course, we always have control over our own perception. We have control over how we choose to react, how we choose to feel, or how much power we give to our emotions. I think that's a big thing, right? We can often feel a lot of emotion, but if we give too much power to our emotion, then we begin to identify with it, and that's not what's going on here. That's the opposite of what's going on. Feeling a feeling, but remaining sort of free from identity. And the more you free yourself from an identity, the more free you are to sing your own song. You may find very few people on this path, the moon. You may feel lonely. You may feel detached. You may feel like you really are going solo. And for those of you who are in partnerships or marriages or relationships of some kind, that can be hard, and it can create a wedge between two people. So it's important for you to understand, that they're on their journey and you're on your journey. And if there's kind of a brief period of separation right now, I think that's okay. And it doesn't necessarily mean that the relationship is doomed by any stretch of the imagination. But I would recommend communicating what it is you really need. And again, not everyone can fully accommodate that. And just because someone can't accommodate it doesn't mean they're going to be out of your life forever. It's just you're going to have to be brave enough to sing your own song. And I actually think this might be a little bit of again, I don't really like to say that the universe tests us, but it definitely gives us a lot of lessons. And I would say that if you pass this lesson, pass the test, whatever, I guess it's really the same thing. But if you make it through this lesson and don't sacrifice your selfness, I think eventually you will be rewarded for that with the Page of Coins. Eventually there will be accommodation. Now, I'm not telling you to be like a stubborn brat. Again, that's not what's going on here. But there are some things in life that you really just can't compromise on. You can't just give up. You can't sacrifice. You can't, you can't go down that road. And because you don't, and because you're willing to head into the moonlight, which is a very dimly lit path, one that you can barely see in front of you, but because you're okay with that instead of knowingness, you have some reward anyway. And I think that you're not doing it for the reward, but yet that's what happens. See, moving on. You're moving on from a lower state of consciousness. You're moving on from drama, from projections, from passive aggressiveness, whatever it is, you're moving on. And you're stepping into your power more and more. And I think you're becoming even more well-versed of what that even means. I think you like the feeling of that empowerment. You like the feeling of not caring so much what everyone thinks. And, again, you may even find yourself stepping away from things like social media, social events, because you feel absolutely no desire to live up to anything. And you don't really care about whether people know or not because you're just busy living your life. Solar plexus, I love that with the canary, that bright yellow. This is, of course, confidence and self-esteem. There's no guilt or fear or shame here at all. It's just a matter of, this is, of course, is the primary source of our intuition, right? It's that gut feeling. It comes from the gut. It comes from the stomach. It's more intelligent than our brain or the thought cloud that our brain connects to. You're very close to achieving your goal, which I don't even think that your goal is necessarily materialistic. I think your goal is just happiness driven. That's what this Page of Coins really represents. It's the incoming offering of the reward or the achievement of the goal, but that comes only after you really carve this individual path. Only after you step away, only after you make your way into this moonlight. And, I don't even think you think that's scary. I don't even think you have any fear about that because I think you've worked through a lot of those fears. Have faith in your dreams, which I feel like you do, which is why the moving on is coming out. You have so much faith in your dreams that it is prompting detachment and action. It's prompting you to actually take the actions that are required and necessary for that next thing. Opportunity. What I'm hearing is the world or the universe or the people are going to give you the exact right opportunity for you to move on. It's going to open the door. And I think you're all going to take it. Sometimes I'm like, some people won't take it, but I think if you're sitting here watching this, I think you're definitely going to take it. Because Like, I think you're tired of singing the same old song. You're tired of singing the song as everybody else. And it feels so good and it feels so refreshing to sing your own song that you can't not walk through this door. Gaia, nurturing. Oh, I love that. And I love the Gaia energy with the Empress because there is that earthiness too. And there is so much love around you. There's so much protection around you. Especially when you protect yourself, the universe will then in turn protect you. And because it shows how much self-respect you have. It shows how empowered you are. And the universe rewards that. And it pushes those types of people forward in life. Because you're not cowering to fear. You're not cowering to the projections of other people or the expectations of other people. You're not just going to like hunch over and let them beat you with what they think you should do. So you're in a very safe place right now. And it's weird because it's like you're separating and you're changing, but you're so safe. Never-ending story. See, I don't even necessarily see that you are caught in a never-ending story, but how you see everyone else caught in a never-ending story. How you see your friends or your family or your coworkers or whatever, they just keep doing the same thing. And I think you've extracted yourself from that, and there's been enough time. Then now you look back and you're like, I used to be just like that. I used to do that exact same thing. I used to say all that stuff. I used to behave just in that exact same way. And I think there is a sense of relief that you are no longer caught in the never-ending story. And there seems to be some kind of a commitment being made, you with yourself, you with the Creator, that you will never go back. Not that you could if you wanted to. Failure. I understand that a mistake is only an opportunity to learn. I don't even think that failure card is this kind of a harsh word, but I don't think it's not telling you that you are going to fail. It's actually saying like you've learned from your failures. This is definitely a story of rising from the ashes for sure. And, once we've gone through a crash and burn of some kind, once we've gone through a pretty significant life change or an evolution, or we've had our consciousness open to a certain extent, we all always look back and say, well, I needed that lesson because of X, Y, and Z reasons, so I'm grateful for that experience. And any failure from this failure, quote unquote, from this point forward will never, ever, ever be seen as a failure, right? It will never be seen that way because once you understand what a failure is, you can never classify it as such. And you free yourself up from that, even the definition itself. Okay? What a beautiful story, pile number 2. All right, I'm going to leave you with that. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye. All right, pile number 3. You guys selected the Fluorite. Beautiful green today. We begin with the Bobcat Spirit. Life is a mystery. And of course, that's, certainly the great way to approach life is that every day is a new opportunity. It's a new blank slate. We can begin again. And, I'm even kind of feeling like, I don't know why I'm feeling this, but like now is not a good time for like schedules and lists. I know a lot of you have a lot of responsibilities, or you got a lot to do at work, you got a lot to do with your family or your children or in your neighborhoods or whatever. You got stuff you need to do. But I'm kind of like really loving this sort of wild animal quality that's so just based on the moment. So much based on how I'm feeling right now today. It might not be the most productive in a worldly sense, right? Because, oh, maybe today you feel like taking a nap and it may prevent you from getting X, Y, and Z tasks done, which ultimately can bring in money or whatever. But like, this is about freedom and like really getting back to your wild nature, your wild and playful and just kind of on a whim type of the essence of what it really is to be a human being. And I'm kind of feeling sort of a ferocity coming out, like when a cat gets mad, they sort of push out their claws and they hiss or expose their teeth. Like I'm kind of getting just really raw, like you feel what you feel when you feel it. You do what you do when you do it. And it's just kind of no apologies, no anxiety, no double thinking. It's just like you just are so pure in what you are. And I love that for a mutable season, like a Gemini season, because it's, mutables, it's time for transition. It's time for change. Six of Swords, the World, the Tower, the Knight of Wands, the Four of Swords, Knight of Coins. I'm getting this quality, especially with these first four cards specifically. I'm getting this quality of like an explorer, right? Like back in the day when they were discovering like America, or they were trying to find new routes to India and, all that, and they were sailing all around the world. I'm kind of getting that quality of just like setting out on the open seas and just seeing if you can find your way, just seeing if there's a new approach to this. What's on the other side? Do we know if there's anything? No, we don't. Is it a little dangerous? Yeah, maybe a lot dangerous. Is it scary? Yeah, maybe a lot scary. And yet you do it anyway. And I feel like there's this like kind of like energy of just being compelled. Like the world is pulling you. It's compelling you to explore and to indulge in some kind of path. Will it work out perfectly? No, it will not. But it is absolutely going to obliterate what you thought you knew. And I think that in and of itself is worth it. Because the more we can deconstruct these sort of false illusions that we live under, the more free we become. And that's what this whole year is about. And it's about freedom. It's about change, right? My whole motto for the past couple of months has been change your energy, change your life. It's about totally changing your life. It's about alignment and peace and passion and the freedom to do what you want and to be what you want and to make no apologies for that to anybody. And I feel that kind of, like even the Knight of Wands is kind of like like he's the nature of Sagittarius. And we know that the Sagittarian archetype, and I'm kind of stereotyping a little bit here, but the personality type has this it has a bit of an edge, and they tend to say what they want. And when they want, they're kind of known for not really having a filter and saying inappropriate things. But I kind of like that this week because it's real. It's honest. And it comes from an impulsive place. Is it perfect? No, definitely not. But it's like that bobcat spirit that is so raw and honors what it's feeling when it's feeling it. And when the feeling passes, then they're just on to the next thing. There is something truly authentic. And when I'm talking about authentic, I don't mean like, oh, I'm so authentic because I'm wearing this cool thing or I'm trying this new thing. It's so authentically me, which really is not authenticity at all. It's when we really strip away a lot of our preferences and this sort of idea of identity, and we just live as like an experiencer. That's what we mean by authenticity, is just us as an experiencer. And I'm also seeing that this is an excellent opportunity for you to make sense of a lot of things you may have had questions about. And it's an opportunity for you to let that stuff totally go as well with the Tower. And that as you move closer to the world, that portal, if you will, that portal of true change, the more you will witness change. I don't even think you get worked up about this Tower. It's just like, oh, cool. Great. And we have this Knight of Coins here. And I get this sense that he's working sort of behind the scenes of the Knight of Wands in kind of an odd way. It's like this approach to life is the most practical. And I don't know why that is, but like this approach, the way you feel stuff, the way you're thinking right now, where you're dedicating your time, the things that you're feeling compelled, because again, that world is like, it's sort of sucking you in. Six of Swords, just boom, going straight into the World card. It's sort of sucking you in. And I don't know that you have a lot of control here. And so like the practical thing is just to let go the way the Knight of Rods does and just enjoy the crash and burn and just say, okay, good. And that's it. Because and I think that's what's really happening. I really don't feel a lot of resistance here, which is great, because then it's going to mean that change happens faster. Recognition and reward. When we're talking about, there's a fearlessness coming out here. When you stop doing things, it's like one of those, let's say there's like a law firm, okay? And they just hire in this new attorney. And this new attorney is just completely talking back to like certain clients and talking back to like the higher level partners. But there's something about him that kind of like makes it okay, probably because he's usually right. And as much as he kind of pisses everybody off and as much grief as he gives to people, he's also right all the time. And therefore he ends up getting promoted. And that's kind of the energy that I'm sensing with you. It's like you go in kind of like a little bit of a tornado, you affect change, and because of that, you get the reward that you weren't even looking for. It just is sort of an effect of what happens when you're living purely. When you're living again according to not even your own rules, but kind of like no rules whatsoever. No alarm clocks, no schedules, no expectations. You just go into the moment and give every moment your absolute best and fullest attention, and you live fully in that moment. The universe rewards handsomely. This is why the practical thing is to approach life like this. The practical thing is to be a Spitfire. Okay? Disruption, exactly. Yeah, the Tower, disruption, of course. I don't know, there seems to be like some switch that just boom. You flipped it, and the whole approach, I'm not saying this is going to last forever, but like this phase in your life is going to be truly lucrative. You might as well just let everything get disrupted. And don't worry about trying to keep things intact. Communication is key. And you will be communicating. We have a new moon in Gemini. We got all this Mercury retrograde stuff in Gemini. Of course, you're going to be communicating. And I think, again, you're going to be communicating effectively because you're in as much disruption is going on here and as much like heated energy is through here, you are perfectly calm, Four of Swords. This is like the true, like I'm really seeing, like obviously the magician didn't come out here. I feel like I should actually pull him out of this other tarot deck. It's like, this is really what it means to be a magician. You sort of conjure up all of this change. You conjure up these opportunities. You conjure up this type of like, these types of moments. And when you officially walk through those doors and you officially like don't care about what's really going on around you, just so long as you're following what you know to be best, like you created all of this based on choices. You created all, this is a consequence. And when you own it as a creator, that's when the story flips around. Like you're not a victim to any of this. You were the creator of it. And because of that, this is a time for you to be the most empowered. And you can actually use this as leverage to create an even bigger situation for yourself. Nothing is set in stone. Yeah, no, nothing is set in stone. Because that's not how you're living your life right now. You're not living your life as though it's so rigid. It's Gemini season. You don't have a choice. I'm sorry. It's a mutable season. We got eclipses here. We got a Mercury retrograde here. We got a Saturn retrograde in Aquarius. Like all of the rigidity, it's just not going to work. But because of that, you really do get to write your own story, and how you react and respond as an empowered magician or as someone who created something and is still not smart enough to realize that you created it. And you're going to be victimized by it and you're going to feel powerless. You get to write this story. Thriving. Because what happens when that explorer, really does discover that new route to India, or does discover that new land or whatever. It's an expansion of your world as a whole. There are new boundaries. They've gotten pushed further and further and further out. Just as we, go through space, as our telescopes go through space, right? Our consciousness of the solar system is becoming bigger and bigger and bigger. We continue to push the boundaries. Shapeshift, oh my gosh, shape-shifting. Nothing is set in stone. The Tower, the World, the mutable energies of Virgo and Sagittarius coming out. There's a change in how you live your life. You really do seem to be taking on a whole new persona, right? Shape-shifting. It's almost as though you were playing a character your whole life. And you finally took that mask off. And you finally saw yourself in the mirror. And you finally see yourself for who you really are. And all these things that the world told you, you're starting to live your life as though it is a bunch of BS, because it is, and we know that. Which means you're being more free. And the more free you are, the less tameable you are. Which is why reward and recognition comes out and says the universe responds well to that level of courage. TikTok. I don't even see that as a negative thing, but I do see a little bit of time pressure. Like if you don't do this now, right? You got to do this now. You got to get on that boat and start sailing. You have to start pushing your own boundaries. You have to get out of your comfort zone. Because once this switch has been flipped, right? Many of you, it's already flipped. Some of you, you haven't quite flipped it yet. Once it's flipped, I don't think that you can really go back to the old way of life ever. But there's sort of this portal that's opening. And if you resist, the portal's going to close. There's a lot to miss out on. And this is not like a fear of missing out situation, but the opportunity is here. Peace. I am a being of love, and I release all negative energy. So when you release the negative energy and you let the world compel you into this transition, and you feel empowered by the changes that are occurring, and you are honoring your most raw existence, there's no way that anything can touch you. And any negativity within yourself will disappear or will arrive, and then you don't give it any credence, so then it will just leave. This truly is a story of like incredible empowerment. And it's very exciting. It's courageous. And it's not the type of courageousness that we often see. Maybe not even the type of courageousness that we often exhibit. It's very, very new, very refreshing. Okay? All right, guys. I'm going to leave you guys with that. You guys know I wish you absolutely nothing but the best. All right? Thanks so much. Take care.